Peace, 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 peace. Oh, another golden time of day. Okay, I've had a ball doing this. How can I make sure my face is in the sun or not in the sun? Ooh, that's probably better. I've had a ball talking about nature this week. Um, it's been enlightening for me. So hopefully, as enlightening as it's been for me, it has been for some of you, many of you. Um, Today, I'm making a connection. So one of the things in recent years that has led me back to myself is travel in nature that connects me to nature. And so let me start and do all the stuff I'm supposed to do at the beginning. If you are enjoying these videos, if you are enjoying the shorts, subscribe, share the shorts, share the videos, all that stuff. Um, because I would love to connect and I'd love to know what is really helpful to people and what's me navel gazing. And is the navel gazing helpful? So okay. Travel has been really good to me. And one of the ways it's been really good to me, along with connecting with nature all over the world and seeing the consistency of the creator and the creation, is just getting to be me. So all week I've been saying, we are nature. It's not necessary to keep saying, I need to connect with nature. I need to connect with nature. I'm nature. That's where I'm supposed to be. So so it's like being inside all the time is like being in a house plant that never gets any sunlight, water, air. Sometimes you take your plants outside. Sometimes there are plants that are planted outside, and we are supposed to be in nature. Anyway, without going off on that, here are some of the places that I visited. I'm going to share some pictures because I'm learning how to do that. Um, I remember the first trip recently. I can thank my parents for giving me the travel bug. I took a trip to Spain my senior year, I think, in high school, um, for Spanish, and it was amazing. And since then, I've been to a few other places, but I'm going to talk about five. So the first trip that I took in recent years as a mom and wife and needing to find myself and be able to hear my own voice and hear my name called and it not be connected to somebody's need, looking for something, can't find something, please come do this for me, all those kind of things, was the Dominican Republic. And so I've mentioned Sisters of Yoga. I went with them. And what I appreciated was it was all sisters, all Black women from mid 20s to 50s. And what I kept saying to my sister friends when I got back was, I didn't need a name. I did not need a name. There was no need to identify me, to ask me to do something, to have me carry out a role, to remind me of some obligation. I did not need a name. I felt like a little kid. I played the whole week. Um, there's there's um, there's a few pictures. And I'm going to talk about them and I'll share them. Um, there's a picture right after we got there, and it was also just wonderful to be reflected in the eyes of other sisters, other Black women of various ages and various personalities and all those things. One of the pictures that I took was that was taken of me that I did not know was a sweet sister on the trip took a picture of me laughing while I was sitting in. I don't even know if it was a bus because the picture looks like it was a bus, but it was an open air bus. And that picture has brought me so much joy that I share it in a lot of places. Like it's my avatar in a lot of places. But I was just in the sun with the blue sky behind me, enjoying myself. Another one was being in the hammock. We stayed at the Dominican Tree House, and so um, there in our rooms, two out of the four walls were big, heavy curtains. So when you open the curtains in the morning, you were standing in the rainforest. Um, and it was marvelous. So there's a picture of me laying in a hammock. It's just my knees laying in the hammock, but I'm looking at the rainforest. And so that's a picture I took. And then there's another picture that I'm sitting probably in that same space with another sister who has a fro, and it's just our silhouettes, and so it just looks like Black woman joy. It's marvelous. Just our silhouettes laughing and froze. And then one of the other ones I took was that was taken of me was inside one of the caves, and it was probably the sexiest picture I've had in at that point in years. Um, it was nice to see me. It was nice to remember myself. It was nice to see my body in just the joy of being in water and having sunlight on me. And I'm grateful for everything, for every baby I've been able to birth. I'm grateful for every baby I've been able to nurse. I'm grateful for the act of creating the children. I'm also grateful to just have my body for me, to celebrate my body for me. So that was another one of the dope pictures that happened there. Um, I the place I went after that was to Costa Rica, and I stayed at what do they call themselves now? Brown Girl Yoga Tribe, I think is what they call it, or Brown Girl Yoga Sanctuary. And so they were in Sarapiqui, Costa Rica, and we traveled a bit, but the they we were right next to the Sarapiqui Rainforest Preserve, and I was with my children. So a lot of things that I got to experience in nature, I got to share with them. Um, and we took a couple trips too. Um, Two of the trips we took, we went to La Playa Negra, so the Black Beach, which was close to which was where Marcus Garvey lived for some years. So that was exciting. My children and I were like, "Oh, that's so dope." And the sand was black, but it was also had little flecks of gold. So I think I have a video that I can share to show that when the sand came through my daughter's fingers, it also sparkled. We tried to bring that back, and they jacked us for that at the airport. So none of that. We also went to La Fortuna, and it's named that because they're fortunate. They're at the at the base of a live volcano, and we went to go visit the hot springs at the base of the volcano. So there's resorts where the water is being kept hot because it's close to it's under the ground. The volcano is actually keeping the water hot. And there's live. You can see the smoke coming off the volcano. Excuse me, but that was awe inspiring. Like just being able to be in nature, hear the stories behind the natural occurrences and the beautiful um, beaches and sand and water and ocean and volcanoes, all those things that was there for us to enjoy and celebrate and excuse me and honor. And then right near where we were staying, because the Sarapiqui River was there, and because the Rainforest Lodge was there, the children and I toured the Rainforest Lodge, and there was this really huge tree that I don't know the name of, but I got to stand there with my daughter, and it was it was a space to recognize the creator. It was to recognize our space and creation, to recognize how small we are and also how significant. There was another tree that had bats all over it, and just cool to see them. You know, when you see bats, bats are kind of cute, and I still don't want them on me, but they're very cute to see. There was a flower we saw, and bromeliad, but I don't know what type of flower it was. And I remember the sister who was with us squeezed it, and all this gel that almost looked like flaxseed gel, which my daughter is teaching me how to use in my hair, um, came right out. And I was like, wow, like if you had these in your yard, you just put it in your hair. And then, of course, one of my favorite animals is a poison dart frog. And we saw two, and they are so gorgeous. And because my children know I like frogs, they were trying to encourage me not to touch the frogs because the frogs would kill me. If I wouldn't be dead, I would likely be in the hospital. And that was a message to me. Things that are beautiful and small doesn't mean that they're necessarily not protected. Um, Sometimes the bright and shiny things are a warning, and also that there is protection for those little things that look like they are not the most powerful. And so That was really dope for me. Another place that I've been to repeatedly is Ghana, of course, and you saw me doing recordings in Ghana. There's so many things. There's there's just so many things. Like I don't know what to say. I know that I spoke about Makasem and the uh, the beach of the goddess. Not her name. I don't have her name in my brain right now. That I visited, but the sunrise at the beach, the being able to put my feet in the sand, um, it was just dope. The being able to be I had a chance to be at a retreat with a sister, and again, like with some sisters, some young sisters who said they wanted to come together and provide healing, which they did. The joy of their connection was that, and was healing. And then just being in the yard of one of the sisters, and so I talked about how in other places our yards are not manipulated for um, scarcity, consumerism, capitalism, whatever is going to grow there is going to grow there. And so we were in the yard of a young sister who not only was growing, was had the plants that occurred in that area, but she also grew additional things. So her yard was so fertile and so lush, and it felt like a reflection. It was healing for me to be able to do that. Then, of course, there's a few more pictures. Like there's one of me probably 20 years ago where it was my first look at buying land in Ghana. And just to see myself there in land that I've repeatedly connected with, um, there's no real words for that. Um, and then I know there's some other picture I wanted to share, but I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was, but I do know that there's pictures at waterfalls that I don't think I'm sharing in this one. Um, hmm, just a lot of healing and being able to be present, um, be held by the earth. There was a really large tree in Moccasin this last time that stopped me like more than once. I took a walk back up to the tree. I'm not even sure the name of the tree. I tried to look it up, but the search engines were hating. They were hating. But that really, really big gorgeous tree. It's something about the way that the branches were spread. It was something about the way it looked against the sky. It was just majestic. There was a post I came across the other day where someone was standing next to a very large tree that was very firmly rooted and had really big branches. And what they wrote was, "I think I found one of the old gods. I think you just found God." And I get it. I know why they wrote it that way because we don't get to see nature around us in those ways a lot, especially when um, trees and nature are knocked down for the benefit of building some other building that will be vacant in however many years or will be obsolete and they will build something brand new next to it. But to be able to be next to these large trees that have been growing for years, uh, it's very humbling and very awe-inspiring. So Ghana is a much longer story that I would that I've told over the course of some of these my um, spiritual journey connected to Ghana, um, the birth stories because of tradition connected. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful welcome home. Um, I got to go to Kemet, and I think the trip that I took to Kemet to Egypt, uh, our luggage didn't show up initially. So I think I lived out of my carry-on. And one of the things that it taught me was how to dress in the heat. So I had like a lapa or a sarong that I wrapped around myself. I wore a hat, and just staying. The thought would be I need to wear less clothes to be cooler, but wearing 1 to 2 garments that caught the air or protected me from the sun were very, very cool and protective. And we had the opportunity to be there with Runoko Rashidi, peace be upon him. Um, and just looking at the connections that he made to the land of Kemet, of Upper and Lower Egypt, that he taught us in the museums. It was the first time that I had really paid attention to the dove of Osset, who came to find the phallus of Osar and bring forth Heru. It was a person that I physically saw a sarcophagus that connected Osset to my understanding of the Holy Spirit. I had never seen it. The Holy Spirit is neutered in most churches where you do not get Mother, Father, and Son. But to see that dove, I was like, oh, that's where we got this from. That's where the black church, that's where the black church initially, that's where it came from, even though the Christian church took it. And then we don't often know that that's where that came from. And then to be able to stand at the feet of the Harem Ket or the Sphinx uh, was remarkable. To be able to see something built out of sand and watching woodpeckers. Um, to be able to stand that close to it and imagine the fullness of that African nose on that large Kemetic face, on that Nubian face, priceless, magnificent. I know there's a trip I got to take with family, and this was the difference. Like when I said I travel and I stay in places that aren't resorts because I don't want to leave the U.S. and still be in the U.S. when I get to wherever it is. But we took a family trip that required keeping our elders safe and comfortable, and so the trip we took to Mexico recently, we were at a resort. One of the things that we did that was really fun in nature was riding on zip lines and feeling the air go past my face, being that high above the trees, having the opportunity to fly. It was really awesome. We also, played in the mud, went into for the name underwater caves, underground caves that had water in them, and I can't remember what they were called. We got to do that too. And every time I get to do one of these, I meet another part of myself. I meet a little girl who wanted to play with fish or touch the frogs or fly like a bird or all of those things. And then to be able to learn about uh, the landmarks, the natural occurrences, the habitats, the animals, the trees, the soil, to learn of the uses of things in these various places. Priceless, priceless, priceless. And another connection to myself and the creator, which is still myself. I'm a piece, I'm a part of the all. The last trip I'm going to share about is Madagascar. And I went with No Madness and the Madagascar experience, and the blessing was how deliberate the people who planned the trip were in making sure that we were connected. In all of these trips, to a degree, I had the opportunity to be connected to the people and the land. Um, and in Madagascar, it was so deliberate that we were connected to the animals and the plants, to the people, to the culture. Um, I have pictures where I where I got to trying to decide which one to say first. I got to hold a snake. I got to have a lemur on my shoulder and learn the difference between male and female lemurs, and that the female ones are the bigger bodied ones. And it's consistent in nature. We are in a society that, um, unfortunately, in Western society, is very, very focused on taking advantage of young women, of girls, of children, and the expectation that women will look like children and girls. But in nature, the bright, colorful animals are male because they have to earn the affection and time of the female animals who do the very precious work of bringing forth the babies. So when we see the lemurs and the larger ones are female, because they have the job of bringing forth the babies. And I didn't know that till we got there. I also had the opportunity to learn that there are some ants that if someone urinates in their hole in the ground, and their urine has lots of sugar in it, the ants will go back into the hole, which means that act can be used to identify diabetes. They didn't. One of the brothers on the trip wanted to do it. I wish they had let me do it because I wanted to know if the ants would run or if they would stay. But to know that that's another way to be in harmony with nature, to know the medicine of nature, that you could pee in an ant hole, and determine whether or not there's so much sugar in your urine that you may have a diabetic issue. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. Um, we went to I did yoga every morning out on the beach, and I would see the sand move next to me. I would see the sand move. And I'm like, what is that? And it'll be these see-through crabs. So I'm going to share the picture, but I don't know. I don't know if you can see it or not. And I don't. Maybe I can circle it. But I would see them, and I would sit still. And if I sat still long enough, sometimes they would walk right up to my feet, and then they retreat and go back into the sand. I had we had this sandalwood, which also has another name. They called it sandalwood, but there's another wood, and they would make the wood into a paste. And the women in Madagascar use it as sunscreen, and they also use it to put decorations on our face. So we got to be adorned in this natural wood that is also a sunscreen, and with adornments that were very particular to the women that we stayed with. And they did it so masterfully. It was just marvelous. It was, I keep saying that, but that's it was really amazing. It was great. I had the chance to grate coconut because we helped to make some of the food that we ate. And so the tool was simple, the work was repetitive. We talk about being in trance, and when you do something over and over, that sometimes we sing songs, we sing work songs. It makes the work pass, and it's the rhythm of doing the work, and the rhythm of doing the work helps the work get done, and the singing through the work helps the work get done. So the women showed us how to grate coconut for the meal that we were going to eat. Um, we were on. I said yesterday or the day before that we were riding through the farmland, the hillsides of Madagascar, and we could smell ylang ylang, lemongrass. Um, and as we were riding, there was one place where we stopped our ATVs and stood above this body of water, and we were told a story about how the crocodiles in that water were the talisman and the protectors of people who lived around it. That's the second time I've heard a story about crocodiles, especially because there was another story. Was it crocodile? I think it was in Burkina Faso, where the people live in harmony with the crocodiles, and I touched one. I don't think that's a picture I'm gonna pull, but that was 20 years ago. I had less fear. I would probably still try it today though. But we got to pet those. That's in Burkina Faso. Um, but it was awesome just to hear the story about being in connection um, with with nature around, that the people had a story that connected them to the crocodiles. And then I think there might be a picture of me. There might be a picture of me in another bikini. And what I'm grateful for, and that is, as I approach this wonderful age of 50, I'm grateful to have a body that is still very happy and healthy. Um, when I was little, I would run around in bathing suits. I remember one time I came outside to my mother, who was setting up our sprinkler in the front yard, and and I was butterball naked. And I came out to her asking her to help me to put my suit on, and didn't think anything about anybody being able to see me on the street, about anybody paying attention to me. Just, I wanted to be in the water. And so help me put on what I need to put on for the water. And there was a point where we walked to a waterfall in Madagascar where some of the sisters took pictures of me. There's a couple of them, I think, took pictures of me in the water. There's one in the waterfall and there's one on the beach. Um, But after a while, we come back from these trips and people are like, "Oh, look at you, hot stuff." But when you spend that much time around water, all of us had on bathing suits. There was a lot of flank, there was a lot of thighs, there was a lot of bellies. We were just hot. We had the opportunity to be in the water and play, and I felt like a little kid. I felt like nobody's looking. I mean, even if somebody was, I didn't feel like I was on display for attention. And even if someone wanted to appreciate my beautiful round body, great. But I didn't feel the leering gaze. I felt like I'm beautiful because I'm in the sun. I'm beautiful because I'm outside. I'm beautiful because I'm connected to all that is. I'm beautiful because I feel joyous. I feel good. I feel happy in this body. And it was wonderful to be celebrated in that way. It was wonderful to be able to bring home pictures that make me feel powerful and like a big mermaid, like Mommy Wata in the water. And so I say all of those things to say that one of the other things that I do, because it has been such a blessing to me, is to arrange trips for people to experience some of these things. So the next three trips that I'll be doing in 2027 will be in Ghana, Peru, and New Orleans. And so I would love to know how many of you are interested in which one. I will write down the themes of those trips. Each one has a different goal. There's a trip that I'm doing. This is 2026. There's a trip that I'll be doing in July of 2026, and the name of the trip is it's F Mama Burnout. It is a mama's retreat for relaxation and renewal, and we'll be in Bali. But the title of the trip is F Mama Burnout. For that reason, it's like I've shared with you all about women being shock absorbers of society that I read in the book by Gabor Mate. And just how many of us, especially as Black women, are trained to just push and push and push and push. Push like grandma, grandma was so good, and grandma did not live to see, her ripe old age. And how many autoimmune diseases show up when we are not caring for ourselves. So that's why the trip is called After Mama Burnout. But I'm going to put the link to my website underneath this video. And I would encourage you to come let me know which trip you're interested in, so that I can continue organizing with the people that I'm going to continue organizing with. Um, the trips are for renewal, they are for uh, stirring up your own magic. Um, Connecting to the land, connecting to the people, the medicine of nature, all those things. One of them deliberately is about working your magic. So, you know, discovering and working your magic. So I will put the link underneath and I encourage you to let me know. Let me know so I can see you in person. Let me know so we can talk about these things face to face and share each other's energy. And again, this is Reverend Okonfo Malimu Yogi, Sister, Mama, Adia, saying, come check it out. Go visit www.adia, A-D-I-A, blackman.com. And I'll put the link in the comments. And let me know where you're interested to meet up with me. And then, of course, like, share, subscribe so that we can connect with other people who are on the same vein. So you can remember your own magic and they can remember theirs and we can do the work that we were saying. All right? Talk to you soon. Peace.